All right, today we're going to dive into this amazing story. It's sharp, it's funny, and honestly, it's super profound. It comes from the legendary 13th century poet Rumi, and it's all about courage, the ego, and what it really truly costs to be great. But before we get into it, I want to ask you something. What's the real price of pretending? You know what I mean? We all want the reward, right? The glory, the cool title, the recognition. But are we actually willing to do the work? This story, man, it just nails that whole human struggle. So our story kicks off with a hero, and a pretty bold request. Okay, so to really get what's going on here, you kind of have to picture the world Rumi's talking about. Back in the day, tattoos weren't just ink. They were a statement, a declaration. You'd see them on champions, street toughs, everybody. Getting a lion tattoo, that was like wearing your bravery right on your skin for the whole world to see and admire. And the guy who did this kind of work, he was called a delac. Think of him as a master craftsman, the tattoo artist of his time, often found working in public bathhouses. And yep, this is exactly who our hero goes to see.
And check this out. He doesn't just, ask for a tattoo. Oh no. He makes this big, grand announcement. I am a champion, like a lion, strong and fearless. I want the image of a lion tattooed on my body. He's basically saying his outside needs to match his heroic inside. Talk about a bold statement, right?
But hey, we all know it's one thing to talk the talk, and another thing entirely to walk the walk, which brings us right to the next part of the story, the pain of the needle. So the tattooist is like, okay, let's do this. He gets his tools, and the very second that first needle touches skin, what happens? Our big, strong, fearless champion screams, "Ouch! You're killing me!" Huh, not quite the roar of a lion, is it? And the tattooist's reply is just so perfect. He's not mean about it, just super direct. He says, you asked for this, so you must endure the pain. And boom, right there, that's the whole conflict in a nutshell. What you want versus what you're willing to go through to get it. So our hero, he's getting all nervous now, right? He asks, hey, what part are you even drawing that hurts so much? The tattooist just tells him, it's the lion's tail. And our hero's response? Forget the tail. The lion doesn't need one. Just like that. The first crack in the facade. He wants the lion, but not the sacrifice it takes to create it. All right, so the Dalek just shrugs and moves on to another spot. Needle goes in and... Yep, you guessed it. The hero yells out again, what part is that? The artist calmly says, I'm drawing the lion's ear. And the excuse? A lion doesn't really need ears. Skip that part too. Okay, we're definitely seeing a pattern here. This mighty lion is getting smaller by the minute. And all this builds up to the climax of the story, what I like to call the lion that wasn't. I think we can all see where this is going. So the tattooist gives it one last shot. The needle goes in, the hero screams one last time, what part is it now? And the artist says, this is the lion's stomach. And this next excuse is my absolute favorite. It's just so ridiculous. He says, no need for a stomach. This lion doesn't eat and is always full. I mean, come on. He's literally rewriting the laws of nature just to avoid a little pain. And that's it. The tattooist is done. He literally throws his needle down and just explodes, saying, where in the world have you ever seen a lion without a head, tail, or stomach? God himself never created such a lion. And he's right. You can't have the idea of a lion without, the actual parts of a lion. It's a funny story, for sure, but this is Rumi we're talking about, so of course it's packed with a much deeper meaning. So let's get into the real moral of the story. So what's this ancient story really about? I mean, it's obviously about more than just some guy who can't handle a needle, right? Well, think about it like this. On one side, you've got the symbol of courage, the cool lion tattoo, looking strong, making big declarations. But on the other side, you have the reality of courage. That's enduring the pain, being patient with all the tiny, difficult parts, and just standing firm when things get tough. Our guy, he wanted the symbol, but he wasn't willing to pay the price of reality. And Rumi just puts it so perfectly with this incredible metaphor. He says, to withstand the bright and burning sun, one must first dare to endure the flame of a humble candle. Wow, you can't just skip to the end. You have to build up your tolerance for the small stuff before you can handle the big stuff. And this leads us right to the final, really powerful lesson here. What greatness actually costs.
See, Rumi doesn't just leave us with the problem. He actually gives us a roadmap. First, you have to endure the sting. Patiently deal with life's little pains. Next, you gotta overcome the ego, because that's what makes us so impatient. Third, embrace transformation. You have to be willing to let the old you dissolve to become something better. And that final step, well, that one's the real game changer.
And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle: destroy division. Rumi says, you hold tight to the ego's me and mine, but this division fuels all pain. Destroy it to see the divine. What he's saying is that our obsession with our own ego, that feeling of me and mine, is the source of all our suffering. It's the me that's afraid of the needle, the mind that wants the glory for free. If you want to achieve something real, something truly great, you have to learn to let that go.
So that's where Rumi leaves us. Look, we all have a lion we're trying to create in our own lives, right? A big goal, a new skill, or maybe just a better version of ourselves. And so the real question, the one this whole story is asking, is this: what lion are you creating? And are you truly willing to endure the needle to make it real?